Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tub Takes. This week we got a big episode. We had two different regional championships that we got to talk about. It's all the cool teams that came out of it, and we've also got information about the Asian circuit structure and how they finally, decided to actually have a circuit structure this year. So I'm really excited to talk about it this week. This week we got some very special guests, and first and foremost, we've got one of the best European players out there coming off of a top cut at Dortmund regionals. We've got Torviv. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having me. No, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
It's great to have you. And then of course we've got my co-host. We got Nails,
What's going on, guys? Go Tigers.
and of course my other co-host. We got Alex. How you doing?
Doing good.
We're here to talk about all of the exciting teams, as you can see on screen, that came out of Dortmund regionals. And first and foremost, let's talk about. Oh yeah, and of course, first and foremost, I guess before any of that, if you miss any of this, if you can't stick around the entire time, this will be out on YouTube tomorrow. So make sure to go check that out. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can come hang out on Twitch. We stream quite often. So yeah. And then let's jump right into it. So Asia, you might remember a couple years ago, they used to be in the TPCI organized regions, competed with Australia for the same sort of Worlds invites, and then during the pandemic, they were sort of annexed by APAC or by TPC, and have had basically only one tournament all year for most of the areas. This is Thailand, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. So now they actually have a little bit more of a structure. We're going to, I guess, cover it. I guess, Alex, you've been talking about it a little bit. Do you want to talk through the process?
Yeah, sure. So, the main thing here is there's it's a very confusing thing that's happening now. That we have a couple of images to explain it, but we're still kind of piecing it together ourselves. But they're basically jumping from the Premier Ball League, which will be happening somewhat soon in like the fall and winter, to then the Master Ball League, which will be happening probably in the next calendar year. I think there was a full calendar listing when these are actually set to be scheduled, and it looks like a lot of the Master Ball League tournaments are being held in like May and June, if I'm seeing this correctly. We're,
Do you have that somewhere?
yeah, I don't think.
Can I pull it up?
No, that one's not. Well, it was posted in the like images that June linked. Um, there's just like a picture of Master Ball League being held in June.
This is the Singapore, I believe. Singapore League.
Oh, so that's Singapore specifically? Okay. Yeah. So, they might all be around the same time, or, something maybe a little more scattered. But regardless, the structure is Premier Ball. You can qualify for Master Ball through Premier Ball performance. And then in the Master Ball one, you can play in that if you qualify. You can also get in through lottery, which is like kind of nuts. I thought we were done with that. I never even got to experience that, but it's that was
I didn't get into LAIC when I was trying to get in, so it's kind of the same thing over there.
It's the same thing. You're right. We've talked about this like bit of history several times on this at this point, but yeah, like I started in 2014. I've been playing for a long time, like 10 years now, and the lottery was gone by then. Lottery was we have Jimmy here. He can actually remind me which year it ended, but I think it was around like 2011 was maybe the last time it basically just like no maybe it was earlier in 2011. Regardless, yeah, 2009 only. Okay.
Oh wow.
So really, really far back. But yeah, this is such a strange system. Like we also don't have like LCQs anymore, which is definitely different than a lottery. But it's a similar vibe in that like you can miss out on playing in the Master Ball League by qualifying for it through the Premier Balls and still have a chance to play just by getting lucky and getting in. I don't know. That part's a bit nonsense to me. Another thing to point out really quick, Audie, if you go over to the other image, the one that mentions the ages,
Oh yeah.
That one, because you guys might notice that like in the third category or in the first one, whatever, you see it says all ages in Premier Ball and Master Ball, and then once you get to Worlds, it says Junior, Senior, Master category. So it's pretty easy to interpret what that means, but like that means that like all divisions are playing together, which I don't know. Like some of the kids are pretty good at the game. You know, we've seen some awesome juniors and seniors, but that's still going to be really difficult to go against your region's best master players in a, even competition and have that be your route to qualifying for worlds just to be able to play against people who are like, actually in your age group. Yeah, that part is insane to me.
Hmm.
I don't know if there's any other parts that I left out in terms of explaining it again. It's all still a bit new to us. We don't have all the answers, but these are the main things. Is that it's just like they've announced how it's going to be working. We also didn't mention one last thing, which is that Indonesia got completely cut out. They had um, they have a TCG side already announced, but nothing for video game. So it looks like video game will just have no events in Indonesia. So that's pretty unfortunate to hear that anybody that's playing in Indonesia just doesn't have any route to qualify for Worlds.
Yep.
Except they can win a regional.
They could just come over here and win a regional.
True.
It's true.
Probably like Australia has a couple of regionals, so they can plausibly throw their hat in the ring there. But it's really tough if you're trying to uh, get
While
to
we have
Worlds.
Torviv here, it was when they announced the beginning of the season, it was really amusing to me the idea that like a European could steal an NA invite by winning one of our regionals, or a American player could steal an invite from EU by going over and winning one of theirs. The problem is, I actually don't know if there's any NA stealing a European Championship examples. Like, have we ever gone over there and won? I
Oh,
know that we
Luca.
had
Luca
Nils
did
come
it.
here.
I mean,
Yeah,
Luca's
no, Luca,
Spanish,
the
but
the first one of
Mhm.
Gen 9.
That's true. And I this is always the fun part is like who gets to claim who, because like we also get to claim Nils because he played for US and World Cup or whatever, and it's stupid.
He
I
does
mean,
have an American flag, and it never gets not funny. But
but he plays in the, like, I guess for this discussion though, it really matters what region you're earning your Worlds invite.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So I don't care about like Worlds or World Cup or anything like that. Luca was playing for an NA invite at the time, and then Nils was playing for an EU invite. So I guess that is an example of us stealing one. I don't know if it's going to happen this season, but it would be awesome to see.
Fun fact: it
It
has
will be
already
cool.
happened. It happened at Dortmund, and in the TCG side of things,
Wait.
a Japanese player won TCG at Dortmund.
No, this is awesome. So they're just qualified for Worlds then?
Yes, they did.
This is so sick.
Yeah.
yeah. No,
awesome.
that's so cool.
Yeah, and I think it was an American. It was Rahul in finals as well. So it would have been an invite stolen either way. But yeah, it seems like it happened a little more in TCG. I'm curious how many Americans are going to go over to Europe. I didn't see many at Dortmund, many American Canadian players at Dortmund, but I've seen a couple other players looking at going to some of the England regionals especially. So wouldn't be surprised if it happens there. And then I've seen some of the Europeans looking at going to Toronto regionals. That's usually the cheapest one for them. So wouldn't be surprised if it happens there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It will be fun. It will be fun. Hopefully it
There
happens.
is quite a bit more travel in TCG, just because there's bigger prize pools, so you can more consistently. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an Australian win international regional because he goes to tournaments everywhere on the TCG side. Uh, Brent Dennison. Um, he's got like he had 3 or 4 cuts last year. It looks like, and he won Melbourne. Just hasn't won an international regional yet. But yeah, no. So there could definitely be some invite sniping going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the other place that I think we're gonna see an invite sniped is there's a couple regionals in Mexico, and I think that's going to be very, very American heavy. At the very least, I want to go. I was talking to some other people who are looking at going. And so, yeah, we'll see how big those regionals are. But it would not. I think last year we saw Sao Paulo regionals. We saw Riley get second place. And so obviously different structure, but could have sniped it there. We know, I think the Buenos Aires regionals is happening a week before the Latin American Internets. So I don't know if any Americans signed up for that, or Europeans signed up for that, but that'd be something that people can make a trip out of and potentially steal an invite that way. So yeah, there's a few different opportunities, especially in LATAM, where they might have a fewer invites than they want to have at the end of the year. But
If you wanna get the invites, win your event. Put up or shut up.
True.
Yep.
Difficult, but even in the easiest one, winning an event, I feel like it's difficult for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
Mhm.
Can't be losing.
Yeah. But going back to the Asia circuit, one thing that I saw some people complaining about is the lottery system. I am very curious how this is going to pan out, because I think that it's only, from what I saw here, only the top 4 players from the Premier Ball League will earn a automatic spot in the Master Ball League. They also, I think someone said they get a 3-round bye in the Master Ball League, so it's a really big deal to get this top 4. And then everyone else kind of gets in via lottery. But I've also seen some of the Asian leagues, when they have the online qualifiers to decide who makes it to their nationals, they didn't even have enough people to qualify, right? Or basically, like, you could have a 1500 rating at the end of your qualification, an even rating, and still qualify. The bar was not very high. So I'm curious if the lottery is just a contingency in case they do, if they do have enough players. But I think most players will probably get in. In that case, it still sucks to happen. But yeah, overall, like, it's not the worst system in my opinion, especially given that you do, like, the best players basically have 2 shots at it. You get that 3-round bye, and you're in a really, really good spot to get the Master Ball League, and you earn the 3-round bye, and you earn your spot in that, or you get a little lucky, you know. So I'm if you're only gonna have 2 tournaments, I think this is a pretty good system, all things considered.
I feel like it's a good change. Like, changing from online to in-person events is always very, very good, I feel like. And the only thing I'm not liking about this is the all ages part. I think seniors and juniors might not even qualify. And I think these seniors and juniors in these countries are very, very good. The only thing I'm thinking, maybe they do play against masters and they qualify, like top 4 in the Master League qualifies no matter what, even if they 0-3 or something. Maybe that's the only thing I'm maybe thinking about, but it doesn't seem like it. The wording doesn't seem like it.
That was we gotta hope that the kids get some kind of chance, because
Yeah,
like you said, there are like really strong kids in a lot of these Asian regions, and just having no like feasible route to get to play at the World Championships is very, very unfortunate. Just being pitted against masters, like, I don't know, that's like kind of like a really cool part about VGC, is that it's a very inclusive game to all ages, and I think the age divisions definitely help, so you don't feel like you're, getting beaten down by somebody with 10 years of experience the first time you play as a 12-year-old, if they have 10 years of experience and you're in seniors, I start to question things.
I mean, I don't know. I've seen some of these seniors. They've been playing literally since they were like 8 years old.
Right.
They've been, like, I've given this take before. I think that we shouldn't have juniors and seniors divisions. I grew up playing chess and playing against adults playing chess, and it was all just ELO based. If you're a high enough ELO, you play in the top division. Otherwise, you play lower down. And I think that this is a huge tangent, but I think that's a better system, because I think that means that also there's like a lot of bad players who show up at regionals and go 1-6. We could pull some of them up if you want. But like, it's like we've all seen the people who like show up to regionals with in-game teams. It doesn't happen as much nowadays, but yeah, I think they should also have a good regional experience, and that means playing against players at a relative skill level to them. And they probably know that they're going to the regional to have fun and meet Wolf, and not to seriously compete, and they should be able to compete against players at their skill level, which is probably the juniors, who are like really good, right?
Right, right.
That's
I remember you advocating for this before, Elo like tiered based tournaments. It'd definitely like be a serious revamp though.
it's never gonna happen.
I don't know how you like make that
Like,
work, you know.
I think it'd make sense for a subsection of the player base, but the fact that you're allowed to load up a different team at every event just means that people's performance at different tournaments is going to be a lot more variable than it is going to be in chess. So I don't think it really holds up.
Do people not
So-
bring
it
do people not bring different teams to chess tournaments, or do they do like the same team every time?
I mean, so it depends. Like, you have some people who play the same openings every time, and some people who change it up based on what their opponent plays.
Oh, sometimes you
Like,
play white, sometimes you play black. It's like a speed tie, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get it.
I do want to clarify. In chess, you can always play up a division. If you want to play in the highest, if you want to play in the open division, even if you're completely unranked, you're allowed to. You just can't go down a division if you have too high an elo.
Okay, okay. So
Oh,
we can just
that's
have
cool.
like the open division at the top, and then
Mhm.
some
Oh,
divisions.
so like you can't
good to
enter
play
to
in.
win. You if you want to play at a chess tournament, but you want to play in the lower division, you're just not eligible for the top prizes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was a 12-year-old beating up on 30-year-olds in the U1200 division or whatever, and yeah, they just had to take it because they were worse than a 12-year-old. That's just the way it is, And that's how I don't know. I feel like it. There are some juniors and seniors who are definitely going to beat up on some of the masters, and they should have the chance to do it. It feels it's silly to gatekeep. The top seniors are so consistently better than most of the masters in the field. It's silly to gatekeep them from having the competition at their level, I think, but. Like I said, that's a whole other tangent, and I don't want to dive into it too much. But yeah. Any final thoughts about the APAC system for this year?
No, I think we're probably just gonna need to wait to see if a bit more information comes out on it. But regardless, they are coming up fast. So maybe in a couple of weeks we can see the one that happens in Thailand, and kind of like learn how this is all going to work. Or maybe as that faster approaches, we learn a bit more information about how it's going to work. Because I think like one of the things that Victor mentioned right at the top is like, is it best of 1 or best of 3? Is it open team sheet or close? I don't even know if we know that. I can assume
I'm
it's going to be
playing
reg
Pokemon.
H, but sometimes they'll just use a format that's not in format because they're just like, we decided it's reg G still. I don't know. We'll have to
Hopefully reg H.
Definitely looking forward to talking about it once they are come and gone. Like I guess once we've seen one completed, it's going to be a lot more interesting.
The tournament is actually going to be in Regulation F. All right.
Yeah.
No
All the way
way.
back.
Speaking of tournaments that are dominated by Asian players, we have the results from the Battle Stadium ladder at the end of
That's not a
September.
tournament.
It's what these players treat it like a tournament. They really do. It's always cool to see them race for the very top at the very end of the month. Try to get in that. I think top 30 is usually the cutoff on Liberty Note, and so it's cool to see. It's a lot of the Japanese players who did really well don't really have a reason to hide their teams. They like to build a new team every month and kind of grind for the month. I think it's a really cool like little side quest like because they don't really have a tournament that matters until February, March, something like that. And so we do have some teams that did really well on the Battle Stadium ladder. This may or may not translate to best of 3. That's something you're gonna have to figure out on your own. But certainly, I would expect some of these teams to have a big showing in the Grand Challenge that will be, I think, in like 3 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks, whenever that is. So let's talk about some of these teams.
Yeah, that is the main thing that I think people need to be looking at this for, as Adi mentioned, is that if you're looking to do well in the Grand Challenge, Japan is like kind of the master of best of 1 closed team sheet. It is a big part of their world's qualification system, so they do not they don't hold back. And yeah, like Adi mentioned, also there's no reason for them to hide their teams now because this won't be at all how they're qualifying for Worlds. So try to learn from it. Like this top team here, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, Tauros is really here. There's some things that are like somewhat conventional, I guess. We've seen King Gambit, Arch Pelipper on teams that have won tournaments before, like together. But we don't always see Tauros as the choice there. Usually it's like a Bastia Legion or something. So I don't know if we actually
I mean,
know.
Tauros definitely had some run at the start of the format, and it really fell off, and maybe it wasn't supposed to fall off.
I'm not saying like Tauros is good or bad. Basically, what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say
no,
is
like
that
it's just an interesting mon that we haven't seen a lot.
we haven't seen a lot of it, and we haven't seen a lot of it on Rain. It's usually like Bastia Legion is the choice of like water type attacker, or I guess Quaquavel in the Grand Challenge from Sempra, right? Um,
Yep.
but I think Tauros is a pretty cool one. Like they usually have Intimidate. We often see Salamence or Incineroar chosen for these Rain teams, but this was Tauros. Just kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
looks pretty similar to, I mean, at least it seems like it fills a similar role to Sempra's team potentially, right? As the water fighting type.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a third water fighting type? Because people are talking
Hmm.
about Urshifu. Oh yes, I remember it. Let's see who else can think of it before me.
Wait,
Or before I say it.
I thought the bit was that you were talking about Urshifu.
Yeah, no. I'm saying because like somebody in chat said that it's a budget Urshifu, and I was like, well, the Quaquavel is the budget Urshifu, Tauros is the budget Urshifu. Can you guys name the third one?
They got it in chat.
I just saw it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Dang, yeah, it's Poliwrath. It does not feel like an Urshifu, though. I'll tell you
Oh
that.
my god, it does
I
not.
thought you were going for Keldeo. That's my.
Oh.
I was totally
we
off.
never got to use that guy, Nick.
It's like kind of mid, honestly.
Don't worry.
It would be okay.
We'll get Series 13 one day.
Series 13 crew.
So one other thing, I think that this team had, I'm not sure, but I know the second place team had it, and they got second and they got fifth. And notably, the first person who got first also got eighth, which is kind of crazy. But they had this Dragonite set, and I believe this is Terra Steel Scale Shot Dragonite. I saw this a decent amount of this when I was scrolling through. Yeah, Terra Steel, Loaded Dice, Multi-Scale Dragonite. So this is something that there was a lot of on the ladder apparently. And I know I lost to it in the GC as well. I know Bars was using it in the GC. He got 35th rather. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of this set or this team?
So
I mean, it goes fast.
Mm-hmm. I'll go ahead then. I was gonna
Okay.
say that this is like no straight. Like if you've been playing in-game ladder, then you're probably no stranger to this set. Japan loves this Dragonite. There are different variations of it. They'll sometimes run Terra Normal. Sometimes they'll have Ice Spinner or Haze or other. Dragonite learns a lot of moves, as many people know, and the multi-scale loaded dice one is just like their absolute favorite. They just don't care about dropping the defense. The +1 speed and the multi-hit aspect has a lot of strong benefits. For example, you can just like not care about Sneasler. You can just try to one-shot it through that focus sash. And then also you get that speed boost to go around like basically just like start ramping up. And lastly, another funny thing is that it's like a good counter to itself. If everybody else is running multi-scale Dragonite, why not use the multi-hit move that can break the multi-scale and then continue to hit?
Yeah, I wanted to add that like people is also running Terra Fairy because of that, like to
Right.
counter your own scale shot of other Dragonites.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that last attack is Haze.
I think so.
So it's pretty interesting because they like a scale shot and they then are faster than Dondozo, so they can haste the Dondozo. That is a very, very scary mon in close team sheet. So I think this set is very, very interesting in close team sheet. And I also think it's very weird on this team. Like even in hard trick room, kind of, they just play Dragonite with loaded dice. It's weird to me, but it works.
No, you're right. I think that's a good thing that we hadn't mentioned yet. Is we talked about the Dragonite, but not what's around it, because this is not the teams you usually see a Dragonite on.
Yeah, I mean, the Sneasler Oko is really cool. I just ran the calc on it, and it's a really, really high chance to Oko Sneasler like through the focus ash. So
I think some of these sets do have more application in open team sheet best of 3 even, like, still. I think Northern Now was mentioning that people did use it in Reg F on that, like, Dozo Ting Lu Gouging Fire team. Some people was trying out the loaded dice D-Knight there. And, like, Nick, you, even though you came to it through your own conclusions, Assault Vest Ursa Luna is, like, a very common best of 1 closed team sheet tech that Japan uses, and I think you talked about it probably being fine in open team sheet best of 3, just something that people should give a try. So
also, I'm pretty sure that Adi just originally heard about it from Ladder, and that's where it got sparked from for Tub too. Adi can correct me on that though.
Yep, some people were linking me the #1 ranked person who was using Superior with Assault Vest Ursa Luna. Different Superior set than what I ran, but the Ursa Luna had so much synergy there that I had to try it out, and it worked so well. And then I kind of told everyone else, and everyone else was like, "Oh shit, this is good too." So yeah, it was not my idea.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna try to take credit for the set. I just recognized how good it was and did my own thing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone says that they've seen Combine Ursa Luna recently. I think I saw a replay of that in the best of 1 ladder towards the top of that as well. Yeah, there's like it's cool to see. This is why, dude, I said this last time too. I miss closed team sheet because some of this stuff doesn't apply as nearly as well at open team sheet. Power Herb Armorug, I mean, ooh, that's so cool. Stuff like Combine Ursa Luna, you can't get away with that in open team sheet, but in closed team sheet, oh yeah, it's pretty sick. So
I do love it. I love it a little bit. It's so funny because, like, Adi, I've been feeling the same way as you, and then after the GC, like, ESM he's just been nonstop complaining, just like, yeah, I think I kind of hate this format, but it's mostly probably because I've just been playing best of 1 closed team sheet, and oh my god.
I don't know how you guys like closed team sheet on this format. Like, I don't get it. It's impossible for me to think about it. No.
I get it.
Open team sheet, it's so good.
I was actually going to ask you, do you currently like the format or not?
I do like the format. It took a while, honestly, but I think it's much better than Reg G. It's one of my favorite regulations, honestly. This past few, I didn't like them that much. I feel like Reg C is the best one, and then is between this and Reg A and B. Honestly, but
I've seen so many people.
Yeah, I think it's not a popular opinion.
Right. I don't know. I feel like so many people are already sick of it, and it's largely like Sneasler. I've been seeing people talk about Sneasler nonstop as the format ruiner. I think we could probably take like a little aside here to just talk about that aspect because it was getting pretty big, and people are talking about like, is Sneasler or Urshifu more problematic? And I guess I'll pose the question and maybe answer it after somebody else's. But I'll start with you, Nick. What do you think? I don't know if I've heard your take on this one.
Oh, and which one? Sorry, I was responding to.
You're good. You're good. I was Sneasler versus Urshifu. What's more problematic?
Oh, Urshifu, of course. It's not even close.
Right?
Like, yeah, Urshifu breaks 2 fundamental rules of Pokemon, and you're allowed to break one of them, kind of, even though it's still kind of lame when you do. But breaking 2 of them just goes over the edge. You have to damage race the guy, and he's really good at damage racing. Sneasler, like the most problematic part of his kit is definitely Dire Claw. I don't think anyone else, or I don't think there's any other really problematic part of his kit. Like fake out Poison Touch has existed in the past, and nobody cared about Toxicroak doing that. And like you can Lumberry or Covert Cloak through a Sneasler if you're really upset about it, or you can just like win most of the time against it. Like there's never going to be 100% plays in Pokemon because, or there definitely is sometimes, but only when you just have like a locked position. And so there's a lot of skill to be had in reacting to what your opponent's throwing at you, and um, like taking uh, some RNG in stride and winning anyways. Like I had some GC games where my opponent's Sneasler Dire Claw slapped my P2, and so I was like, okay, how do I win the most often from this position? And I got it to a spot where if I one turn woke, it was going to be okay, and then I one turn woke and I won. And like you have to be able to react to that stuff. Um, and like win through it some amount of the time. You're never gonna win every game, and stuff can go wrong, even if Dire Claw is not what's inflicting the pain. But um, yeah, like I don't think Dire Claw is amazingly healthy. Like having a glass cannon guy have the chance to just turn your guy off 20% of the time. Either via sleep or para full para, but it's not that bad. And uh, like nothing else the mon does is offensive, and Urshifu is bad on like probably like 2 or 3 levels in ways that are just game breaking.
When you put it that way, Nick, another thing, like when you brought up the 20%, it's like I remember how annoying Mega Metagross could be in 2018. Like just it was clicking Ironhead a lot. You know, we've also had like Scarf Landorus click Rock Slide way back in the day. And I mean, I don't think it's even. I don't think anybody's tried to make the comparison to Dark Void Smeargle because, of course, this isn't that. But we've had RNG elements be a main factor in a lot of formats. In fact, any format with a Mungus, you're gonna have to pray that you don't get 3 turns slept every time you got spored, because that in of itself is just going to be tough to come back from sometimes. And I guess we've also always had double protect. Like double protect is another thing that can bail you out of bad positions. Like RNG is just like a large part of the game. We do our best to mitigate it. You can even mitigate it in team building, like Nick mentioned with Lumberry and
Cloak is a big one.
Yeah, Cloak. But yeah, I don't know. The thing about Urshifu that people do argue that about it being healthier is that it is consistent. It is not at all based on dice rolls or chance or anything. Like what's going to happen to you. It's just obviously a little overtuned. It's a little bit strong, I guess. Yeah, Victor. What do you want to?
That's the
hold
thing
on,
is
Nick. I want to give Victor a chance to.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I honestly completely agree with the Urshifu point that it's literally Urshifu is a very consistent Pokemon. If we are talking who is more broken, no question, it's Urshifu. He's completely broken. He shouldn't be a Pokemon like that. There shouldn't. But like, if I prefer to have Urshifu at 60% or Sneasler at 60% usage, I know Sneasler is not at that usage, but you get me. I completely prefer Urshifu. Like Urshifu does not have variance. His attack doesn't fail. He also crits that it's broken, but it is less variance, because if it didn't crit and it had more BP, you could crit 1 of 3 times or even 2, I don't know, and that could be more variance. Urshifu doesn't have variance. Like, the thing is, Urshifu is not a cool Pokemon because it overpowers like everything, but I feel like Sneasler is so much more problematic. Like, but I can say Sneasler, and I can say Blizzard, and I can say Among Us, as you said, Sleep Powder, but I feel like Urshifu is not that problematic to play against. You just have to position yourself in an Urshifu meta. Like, you can't click protect that often. You have to have like more speed mons because of Urshifu. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
I agree with that. I think I don't agree with that, but I think that is like correct in that, like, when Urshifu is legal, you have to play around it, and there's nothing surprising about it. If you get got by Urshifu, that's usually just your fault, and that's like, there's comfort in that, because that you could have done something better. Adi, you haven't had a chance to weigh in. What do you think?
I strongly disagree, and I got 2 reasons why. The first is,
Go ahead.
let me tell you this. The first is, we've had a lot of formats where Sneasler and Urshifu were both legal. And I promise you, if I ever see a Sneasler across from me, I am so excited that it's not an Urshifu. I mean, I am thrilled that it's not an Urshifu every time. And then the second thing is, yes, Urshifu is, more reasonable to play against when you have team built your teams to beat Urshifu. Think about how many resources you have to put on your team to beat Urshifu in an Urshifu format. Right? If you committed that many resources to beating Sneasler, you can also consistently beat Sneasler. It's not that hard. The reason that it is so annoying right now is that it is basically the speed ceiling of this format. We do not have a ton of Pokemon that are above base 120 speed, and so it's basically the fastest thing in the format. It always gets its Dire Claw off first. If you want to beat it, I mean, there's a couple Pokemon that you can use to just go faster than it. We saw the Terra Steel multi-scale Dragonite, right? That can just go faster than it, can knock it out. If it ever switches in.
And it's immune to Dire Claw.
It's immune to Dire Claw, right? Like, you can put any poison type in front of it. Turns out that we don't really have any. The best poison type is also either a grass type or a rock type, right? So that's a little annoying. It just it just so happens that the way this format has developed, it is such a potent offensive threat. But you put a poison type in front of it, it doesn't really get to do damage with its stabs. You put stuff like that.
Golden Go.
Goldango, exactly. You can't really hit Goldie either. So, it's definitely got some weaknesses. I think you can team build to beat Sneasler. It's also very strong. Poison fighting is fantastic offensive coverage. We see Sneasler Dragapult everywhere because partially because just the way the format's shaped up, we don't have some of the same tools to deal with that sort of pin. But there's just I don't know, Sneasler is not an inherently broken Pokemon. I think without the Dire, I saw Jody complaining about the Dire Claw buff, and it's without the Dire Claw buff, it wouldn't be usable. And as it stands, it's still not usable until we took out the top 30 Pokemon in the format. I think that's fine. I know it's annoying to play against now, but I think that's fine. I think that's okay.
I think I agree with the way that Adi phrased it, with respect to the fact that when Urshifu is in the format, you have to have a couple of ways to deal with it. I remember building my teams, and I always wanted to have 3 Pokemon that resisted Surging Strikes, just because I wanted to be able to switch into it at any point or something, because obviously couldn't protect to position around that.
You need your Surging Strike switch-ins and your Wicked Blow switch-ins, and you need 3 of them. It's so stupid.
And you could also just say 2. 2 is fine, but also it's man, that's already if you put, as Adi had mentioned, 2 or 3 good ways to deal with Sneasler, the Pokemon's probably not going to have a good time. And I think that that's probably just totally fine. We've seen another thing is Lumberry is also just a pretty solid item. We're back in a format where Amoonguss with Spore is pretty common. Wisp is being used somewhat. I actually don't know how much Wisp is being used. Magmar's using Wisp a decent amount. Mm-hmm. And so if you're running Lumberry on physical attackers like Dragonite, or I don't know, it's a bit more opportunity cost on King Gambit, but you could do that too. I think it's just very easy to. I think Dragonite's a great example because it could just hit the Sneasler down to Sash and then finish it off with an extreme speed in a lot of cases. And so there's just a lot of ways I feel that you can deal with it, and we just have to you can, I think you can do what we've been doing, which is let Sneasler have the space that it has and lose 16% of the time to the sleep roll, or you can build your team to actually counter Sneasler, and you'll probably do fine because I don't think it's actually that resource intensive.
I do think it is maybe one of the 3 best Pokemon in this format still. It is very, very good, but that's just because it's a low power level format and it happens to have risen to the top.
Yeah. It's kind of like Landorus in that way.
Just one of the most powerful things in the format is trying to fish for poison on your attacking move. I don't mind that.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty consistent at it, but it's not it's not something you can always get off on your turn, and you're going to lose a lot of games if you go for it. So you have to play around playing a reasonably slow game plan, or just having an inconsistent game plan, which can be okay. But
I've definitely seen some people with some very disrespectful play of Sneasler. Like I was doing a coaching session. We were using Annihilate, and like they just kept dire clawing Annihilate. They were like, "Yeah, this is the only way I want to win. Like I'm just gonna see what happens. Like I'm just gonna keep giving you Rage Fist stacks. I'm gonna do like 10% damage and just pray that I get the sleep roll." They didn't. They didn't get the sleep roll. They didn't win the game off of it. But like, so there will be a lot of people who go for dire claw when they're not even supposed to, man, just because of that. It's so stupid. That part
It's
is
a really good button. I'm not going to say it isn't, but yeah, that's just relative to the format power level.
super stupid. It's super funny. Are there any other teams in the top 30 that are like really noteworthy? We don't actually have like team sheets for all of them. You can check their Twitters to see if they give more details or not. But I think mostly it looks like collections of good Pokemon. Is a lot of the times you'll see teams like that. Like looking at like Arabega's team in 16th is just like Grimmsnarl plus like 5 of the best stat sticks in the format. I don't know if Arbega actually gave any.
This looks
info.
really
Yeah.
similar to Dawei's team.
Yes.
Dawei had the other
True.
bear, and I don't think it had Dragonite.
Had a P2
but
somewhere in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
but otherwise looks there's a lot of overlap.
Well, Arabega is the person who built the Miraidon World's winning team, right?
Right.
So,
Yes.
so yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little bit prophetic, right? Maybe this is the best team in Reg H secretly. I pulled up the Sand team that got top 30. I think it was 22nd. It looks like because they gave a rental code, so this is pretty cool. If you want to try this team out with the Hisuian Samurott and the Corviknight and the Excadrill, I've pointed out Corviknight as a Pokemon that I think is quite good into Sneasler as well. If you're looking for inspirations on how to beat it, there's not many Pokemon that beat that Sneasler Dragonite pin, but Corviknight is one of them that theoretically does. So.
Do you mean Dragapult or I guess Dragonite?
Dragapult. Sorry, I meant to say Dragapult, but yes, the other dragon works too.
Yeah, this one actually is doing something. Sorry, I was going to say that this person is doing
so ready for this one.
That I was planning on doing myself, at least exploring a little bit, is the Specs Como. I think Specs Como is really, really cool. It's not something that, like, it is the third set of that's like, it's not the third set. They're like, you go into a battle and you're like, in close team sheet, you're like, is this Iron Defense Body Press or is it Clangorous Soul? And it's actually, this is the one that's just hitting you in the face turn 1, like really hard. It's Budget Reggie Drago. I think it's pretty funny. I don't know if it's actually good, but I want to try it out for myself. That's also Psychic Seed on the Indeed email, which is like, huh?
I just don't understand this team at all. I saw the Specs Como and I was so confused. Like, I understand that Excadrill and Como should have like good coverage between the two of them, but it's so weird. Like the whole team, it's so weird. But I think it's very, very interesting. I really like the Specs Como idea. I'm wondering what's the last move and what's the ability there, because it's really Terra Blast, Terra Ghost.
It's Terra Blast with Terra Ghost, yeah.
Yeah, it's
the
Terra Blast.
Ability. I can do a rough translation of the Hiragana, but I don't actually know what ability it would be unless it's a yeah.
I mean, Overcoat makes so much sense on the Sand team, right?
It should be Overcoat, I think.
But yeah, I was so amused when Torviv said he didn't get the team. I was like, the European mind can't comprehend. Fire, water, grass. Where are they? There's no fire. There's no grass.
Yes.
Yeah. I was pulling up the cool teams. I think that I retweeted a few of them that had rental codes, but yeah, definitely check out this site for yourself. This is Liberty Note, by the way. If they try to aggregate the top 30 from all these tournaments. So if you see something cool,
not tournaments.
Excuse me, not tournaments. Well, they also have their own tournaments where they do have the teams, of course. But yes, from the Battle Stadium ladder. Yeah. I was saying one of the nice things that they have is they have a hashtag that they use to show their teams. Right. We need a hashtag of some sort for the next GC so that everyone we can keep track of results and keep track of teams a lot easier, because it's a pain in the butt.
You heard it here first. Audie is trying to say that if you want to post your GC results, just like and so that we can put them all in one place. Hashtag Tub Nation. That's what we're gonna do. That's just the one that makes the most sense. So
just start
but
replying.
then that makes it sound like it's our responsibility to collect the teams. So maybe not.
Just gonna start replying to everyone who tweets out their result with hashtag Tub Nation. You can scroll through it.
But I think Adi's right though. I kind of interrupted you, so sorry, Adi. But I wanted to jump in there with that. But yeah, like it would be nice if we like did hashtag Grand Challenge or something to share all of our results in one place, so that like people can actually figure out what the GC results are afterwards. Because nobody wants to wait until they're posted, even though they were posted reasonably fast. Nick, you got your championship points, right?
I did get my championship points.
It was like 2 days
They're
ago,
on
yesterday.
the website. What's up?
It was like 2 days ago or yesterday that the points showed up.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. Nope, that's not it. Yeah. Someone got DQ'd for top 32, so I got 33rd.
Yeah, I did see the 33rd, Adi.
It's funny because I was the person complaining the most about it before it happened too. I was complaining about it every week on Tub Takes.
Yep.
I should check my Switch. I'm gonna grab it and maybe open it up. But yeah, here. It says that I was 114, and when I checked, let me see. I think I was like 105. Like it was just like a decent amount more than I thought would get cut out above me. But yeah, I don't know. It's like not that noteworthy, but it's just like still there are people that are either failing to sign up or double carding or whatnot, you know. Let me see if I can find the actual number. I was 103. Yeah, so 11 people above 114 did not count, which is like, again, I already said this, but that's more than I thought. Do you think so, Audi? What do you think? Does 11 sound right?
That's maybe a little more than I thought. I know of at least one person who had 2 carts in the top 100 and they didn't know the rule and they got DQ'd.
So that would be 2, right?
That'd be 2, and then I know, of course, the one that was in top 32 who I didn't know who it would be, but that must have also been a double cart, right? And so they might have had another one. 11 is a little weird. I guess someone could have one above you, one below you, but I think that sounds like 6 people double carted.
All right, but yeah, I was just kind of just yapping about that. Let's go ahead and move on from talking about the top 30 teams to talking about the actual regionals. So I guess we'll probably have a bit more to say about Dortmund. Do you want to start with Joinville then?
Yep, I've got it pulled up. So
let's do it then.
We had the Joinville regional in Brazil, and we had the 6 Pokemon mirror in finals. It was won by Gabriel Agati, who won with the same 6 Pokemon that Paul Chua used to get second at Baltimore regionals. And Sebastian Escalante also got second place with the same 6 Pokemon. They did have slightly different sets. Yeah.
Agati ran the base version.
Agati used Specs,
so
Ninetales, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Specs, Ninetales, and CB Chomper. So I do have confirmation that Agati built the team and passed it to Paul. And he does get to claim ownership of his team now because he won and Paul only got second. So congratulations on that. Always something to watch out for. But yeah, no, Agati ran the base version with double damage boosting choice items, which continue just all gen. They've been way better than they ever have been before. And I think it's mostly due to OTS. Would you guys agree?
I don't know.
A little bit.
They can be harder to run in OTS. So it's like there's definitely some very big downsides. Like you don't have to play around. Like it's super easy to just double protect across from choice Pokemon to see what they lock into and then react if you have the resources to do so. It might not always be easy against like if you against Ninetales. I know it's going to click Specs Blizzard. I'm not going to double protect to figure that out. I think that one's pretty obvious. But if you have something like a Steel type across from the Garchomp, you could protect to see if they go for that ground move or if they go for a Dragon move or Rock Slide to cover your Flying type switch in. Of course, that's going to have to deal with Ninetales' Blizzard, so it might just be a well-built team. I actually wanted to ask Victor a bit about it because you said this was a Gotti's team or Paul's team. Is this not Torviv's team? This is what you ran at
Yeah,
Dortmund, right?
I run the same 6 with a little bit different sets, but just like 2 Terras but the same 6.
Yes.
And Agatis, Sebastian, Chua, Ink, and Mirai build the team together, I think. Yeah. So I think it's pretty good. Obviously, I mean, I run it in Dortmund.
Yep.
I thought it was the best team at that moment. I still think it's a very great team, but I don't necessarily agree with the Agatis choices. I feel like it's obviously good. He won the regional and everything, but I do think that Ninetales Encore provides so much to the team, and I feel like my Sash proc like a lot of the time in the tournament. Against Rain, for example, I don't know without having Sash how is the matchup, because my Ninetales eats a lot of flash cannon and everything. But well, it worked very well for him, and obviously he's a great player. So yeah, I'm also curious.
No, I was just
I'm
going to
also
say
curious
that
about the Terra
there's some
on
alternate
Gambit.
lines that they have. But go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm also curious about the Terra on Gambit because they all run Terra Dark. I thought I ran Terra Water, and I thought it was a pretty good change overall. I think the mirror lines were also a bit better, maybe. And overall, it worked pretty well. Yeah.
This is kind of a strange thing to say in general because it's not the same at all. But like we saw Terra Water was very consistently good through a lot of formats in the past, and we're kind of seeing things to shape up that way again. With the team that won Dortmund, it was Terra Water Annihilate. Most people have been running Terra Fire on that guy. And maybe it's just the time to be running Terra Water. They also had Terra Water on the Clefable. I guess like breaking that down a little bit, maybe like water is just a very like historically good type, and we've seen that throughout the different formats in Scarlet and Violet. Terra Water has been pretty good. I think early on it might have been a bit harder to run Terra Water with how many Archaludons were running Electro Shot. I mean, they always are running Electro Shot. It's just that Rain is in a slight decline, and maybe using Terra Water is a good way to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think also with like Ninetales, it makes a lot of sense because with another weather, they can't Terra, they can't do the electric shot.
Yep.
So
you do got to be very careful about that because sometimes getting locked into the 2-turn, it can be like it might just kill your arch. Honestly, just having a turn where you're stuck doing nothing, can't be affording to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I also wanted to see the Juanfi's team. I think it's very interesting. Juan Salerno.
Yeah,
I also think he's in the
Twitch.
I think he's in the chat also. But
he was here earlier. I saw. Yeah.
I feel like this is a very interesting team. I really loved it. I'm so curious about the Bass Calibur choice, but overall, I think it's a well-built team.
I gotta say, we were talking about loaded dice D-Knight countering loaded or the multi-scale D-Knight earlier. Loaded dice backs is going to do that, but even better, especially against like Terra Flying. Like that cooks multi-scale D-Knight. Not having a good time. And this one also has scale shot of its own, which this was something people talked about. I think as soon as Reg E hit, I don't remember. What was it? Because scale shot was added in E? I don't know.
Yep.
Okay. But people were talking about how it has 2 moves that can use dice, and so that's like 2 stab moves. So it's really cool. But it hasn't really seen a lot of play otherwise. The one thing that I think this team does very well, that the team that Agati, Paul, and Torviv used as well, is that they don't use Clear Amulet. I've talked about this a couple of times already on stream, so if you've heard this before, I'm apologizing. But I think Clear Amulet is just a cope item. It was very nice in the formats with Bundle and Flutter when it had the added benefit of dodging Icy Wind, but also making you immune to Intimidate. But now we don't see a lot of Icy Wind. We see a bit of Electro Web from Electabuzz. But I think that just playing around Intimidate is just the way to go. Like, you can put like classic ways of denying Intimidate, like King Gambit on your team, where you're scaring them off of switching an Intimidate anyways, or you can use a coaching to offset it, or you can just take the -1, or even just like position. Like that. There are so many ways that throughout VGC's history, Intimidate has been a part of it, and there have been ways to get past Intimidate for all of it. And so, freeing up Baxcalibur, a Pokemon that normally likes to run like a Clear Amulet, to run something a bit better. I know, Adi, I know that it also ties into our Worlds team having Never Melt Ice. But, like, legitimately, I think Clear Amulet, without the Icy Wind guys, it's just so cap. Like, I think Clear Amulet is like a fraud item.
I think that it's just correlated to instant usage, really. It's that, if you, again, like you said, it's really only useful when your opponent has Intimidate. If Incineroar is at 30% usage, 35% usage, then all of a sudden it loses a lot of value. At least on this team, right? All the physical attackers, they can't run anything else. They have to run Wide Lens, Focus Sash, and Loaded Dice exactly. And then obviously King Gambit doesn't want to run Clear Amulet. It could run Clear Amulet, probably shouldn't. But so right. So there's no real reason to run it here. Yeah. And then I think that Nick, you had some thoughts about Garchomp and why it had to run Life Orb at and you had some thoughts about that after Baltimore Regionals, if you want to talk about that, or at least a boost.
Yeah, sure. So, Clear Amulet Garchomp just performed terribly at Baltimore, and I don't think it did any better at Joinville or Dortmund. I haven't actually checked those stats because I've been so self-righteous about it. But yeah, by Dortmund, it looks like everybody had gotten the memo that you're supposed to run Life Orb. There were 4 Clear Amulets to 36 Life Orbs in 2 choice bins. So less than 10% usage on the Clear Amulets. And admittedly, 1 Clear Amulet Chomper did get second place at Dortmund, but the rest of them failed to make day 2. So maybe Maddie's got the sauce. Otherwise, it's been all Life Orb Chomper all the time.
Man, the best Garchomp. No. The Garchomp did win with Life Orb. Okay, good. Because I was like, did Maddie really make finals and the best finishing Garchomp with Clear Amulet? No, he still lost to the better Garchomp. So you know what? Life Orb's still superior. I'm sorry. If you had Life Orb, you would have won.
I do want to talk about. I guess this might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but just for the finalist teams at the 3 regionals we've had, there's been like 5 out of 6 teams that had Chomper, and that's just it was really getting slept on at the start of the format, and it's been all over since then. Like Baltimore had the one team that didn't have a Chomper mirror in finals, and then both Dortmund and Joinville had a couple of Chompers.
I definitely called Garchomp a fraud at the beginning of the format, and I think in the beginning of the format, a lot of people tend to, myself included, think of the format very linearly. Like, we're still seeing, if you click on like usage, Rillaboom is number 1. Like Rillaboom is the highest usage Pokemon, and so there's not you're not short of ways to slow down Garchomp if you really want to prevent those earthquakes from running you over, and you can definitely like intimidate it or find other ways to reduce physical damage. But the main thing is that, like, if you build a team well around Garchomp, you can really punish Rillaboom from coming to the game. I think a lot of the good teams, make Rillaboom as miserable as possible coming against the Garchomp. Or Golden Go or Sneasler. It doesn't love going up against Annihilate or Terrifier Specs Hydreigon. There's a lot of like things that can make Garchomp a lot more viable if you just build around beating Rillaboom, which is not that difficult. So, yeah.
Yeah. And also, we've been seeing a pretty heavy shift away from Terra Ground Chomper toward Terra Steel. Like there were 0 Terra Ground Chomper. There was a pretty even split between ground and steel chompers at Dortmund, but none of the ground made cut. And of the 5 chompers in cut were all Terra Steel.
No, there's a
You just
fire.
gotta.
There's a fire.
Or sorry, there's a fire. My bad. But yeah, and then at Joinville, there weren't even any Terra Ground chompers in top 32. Just no one bothered running it. So, just definitely some meta progression there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Moving away from the Terra Ground chomper and Terra Steel
Oh.
probably is just the best set.
Is there any other teams from Joinville that stand out to you guys that we should talk about before we move on to talking about Dortmund? I'm having a quick look at like the top 16. Ooh, can we talk about the team that got 17th just really quick?
Go for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Luciano.
Oh, they've got Keldeo.
There he is.
Tell us about
Urshifu.
Keldeo.
That looks a lot like Urshifu. I gotta say, welcome
my
home,
God.
Urshifu.
I'm
Choice band Terra Water.
Wait, it doesn't learn Wave Crash? Not even that?
I don't know if it does or doesn't. I think no.
I don't know if it learns Wave Crash.
Probably
I'll go look.
not.
I'm
Holy rock.
I am not familiar with this game.
No, it does not.
Rip.
It doesn't learn it. Okay.
Well, you don't get that. You don't have to take recoil. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the Oko, you get the Oko, and Wave Crash is just worse.
Yeah, this is pretty funny. They've got the Garchomp there though too. It's Life Orb Garchomp and Terra Fire on this one. It's also like a pretty funny Dozo answer to just have like Swift Swim Haze. You know, you'll be locked in, but that Dozo is also locked into the field too, so it's gonna be it'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say about it. I just thought it was really funny that
Yeah.
we were talking about Poliwrath earlier, and here it is.
It's
Go ahead.
no having another things we can comment about this team is they have a Snarl Carodon that is quite interesting, and also the Terra Fairy Amoonguss. I feel like it's going to be on a rise now. That
Definitely.
Dragapult is very, very, very good.
Right.
So I think Terra Amoonguss Fairy is going to be seen a lot more.
I think Terra Fairy like redirection is going to be on the rise as well.
Yeah,
we saw. I think like you can reuse it on a couple of different Pokemon. Basically, I know that we talked about Sneasler for like a long time earlier already, but basically, if you can deal with Sneasler, if you can cover Sneasler, Terra Fairy shuts down the like hardest hitting options those teams have that run the Dragapult and King Gambit. It's usually Mono Dark King Gambit, and it's usually Dragapult with Terra Dragon and mostly trying to click the Dragon moves. If we see a shift towards Terra Ghost Blast, then yeah, sure, Dragapult could get around it. But right now, we're mostly seeing Dragapults running the all-in on Dragon type damage approach. And yeah, I think Fairy type redirection is probably poised to do well. I'm curious, Dragapult. Yeah, 35 Dragon, 5 Ghosts. Any Ghosts do well? Top 64.
Dortmund.
Yeah, I was thinking Dortmund. Yeah, best one's top 64.
Yeah, it looks like they were all on the very interesting teams. Well, Milan DD, Typhlosion, and Decidueye. So that one group that was I guess was really on the Ghost Terra Blast. But I do think that one also has some potential, right? It's nice to, if they have to click Phantom Force to hit your Dragapult if you Terra, right? That's kind of nice in the mirror where all of a sudden now it's a little more bringable in the mirror. It's maybe more justifiable to run Adamant and bring it in the mirror if you're just going to Terra. And you're threatening them and they don't really threaten you. And you have the redirection or the Indeedee.
Wait, how are they not threatening you?
If you
have Dragon Darts, they're just going to kill you.
No, but if you Terra Ghost, you live it, right? And then you can
I guess
KO
that's
back.
true, yeah.
And so you don't necessarily have to. So you're playing a lot lower risk game, which is cool. So I don't know. Maybe that's something to consider as we move forward. As if you expect to see this much Dragapult Sneasler, that might be another like cool way to use your Dragapult. does leave it
much
weak
more
to
weak.
Yeah.
The Sucker Punch.
weak to Sucker Punch, weak to Incineroar, right? Like those are the two downsides.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of benefits to losing your Ghost typing, but there's also a lot of benefits to losing your Dragon typing. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just disappointed that all these guys still ran Phantom Force. Like, you have a Ghost move, like cut that bad move off your set and run something better.
No, I think Phantom Force is really good in end games because you can't
Yeah.
protect on it.
It's
It can be-
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, they're Europeans. They missed their issue for sure.
Yes. No, I think the Phantom Force is just good. We haven't talked
It's
about
fine.
the winning team, Davide's team. We've talked about it like a little bit, but let's actually open this one up and look at it.
Mhm.
So it's funny because they talked about this in the stream analysis. I think when I was watching it, and yeah, it's just like it's not fire, water, grass. It is fire. It's fairy, steel, dragon, and like they also double dipped on a couple other types. Like they have double fairy, double dragon, double ghost. Like there's just I don't know, these Pokemon. Like you look at them and they definitely synergize together. It's just funny how much overlap there is, and yeah, I guess the star of the show is probably just like Annihilate with no like beat up or screens or anything. I was gonna say no support, but like there is still follow me on the team. But mostly it's just Annihilate just here to hang out and be annoying, and I think it does a good job of that.
It is.
Yeah. No. Really. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's a couple matchups where this safety goggles Annihilate is really, really good into. I think that the Porygon 2 Ursa Luna variants, I think especially, can really struggle into this. And then we also saw Maddie's team, which is a slightly different Porygon 2 Goldengo team, also really, really struggled to get any leverage into this Annihilate in finals. And so yeah, I think it's definitely it's not like I don't know if it's the build around. I think that this team has some very, very strong attacking options outside of the Annihilate, but the Annihilate seems like it's a silver bullet to some of these matchups for some of the common teams that were popping up at this regional.
Yeah, it's really cool that way. Otherwise, it's just kind of like the Reg A core, just Tailwind plus Garchomp, Hydreigon, Golden Go.
Yeah.
The boys are back.
I think like it has very, very good attacking options. I think Annihilate safety goggles is like completely amazing into the EU meta. Like you are targeting the Among Us Incineroar players that it's literally everyone. So but also there's a funny thing that is how can LATAM and NA win with Incineroar and not Europe? Europe didn't win with Incin. How? I'm not understanding this meta.
It got to the finals. It actually only had 2 out of top 4. Looks like one.
Yeah, like 2 out of top 8, I think. It didn't perform that well in Europe, honestly.
That's true. You're right. There's actually only 2 in top 8. And only like 4 in 16. I think I'm seeing at a glance. Yeah, this is pretty nuts. I think it's just like it kind of all ties together to what we've been talking about Clear Amulet being a good item, about Intimidate counterplay being pretty strong right now. I guess you're talking about Incin and how good it is. Like if you probably just run down the list and see how many teams have a Defiant Pokemon, you might see even more than Incineroar when it's like between Annihilate and or King Gambit.
Yeah.
Probably maybe not always. Jack is just here, dude. We're gonna have to get to talking about Jack Clark eventually.
We'll get to Jack.
That team does not follow any of the rules that we're talking about here. But yeah, it kind of that is kind of a crazy fact that Incin is just struggling in Europe.
It is.
And again, I think part of that is just like is the the fact that the I don't think Incin is all that good into the Dragapult, Sneasler, Primarina, King Gambit core, especially with Redirection, either Magmar or Electabuzz. It's okay, it can knock those guys off, but like then what? You're gonna parting shot them? Like I don't know, like so yeah, it's just like you can get potentially taunted by them before you can parting shot. Like there's a lot of really annoying things that team can do to Incineroar, and so when that team is just everywhere at this event, I think it can be a little difficult for Incineroar to. And then again, we saw the other teams all have Annihilate on them. It can be hard for Incineroar to really get any leverage in this format, at least when the metagame looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then also Rain, right? Like that's the other big team that you expect to see. And like, you're gonna bring in Cinnamore into Rain? Like you could. It's probably not awful, but like, yeah, you're facing a lot of threats there too. So yeah, it is hard to position for sure.
Talking about Rain though, because that can kind of segue into talking about the team that Fevzi ran. But like, are there any other like Rain teams doing as well? It seems like they had a pretty poor performance running the more standard like Basket Legion focused Rain type teams. Like Basket Legion, I guess like it did okay. There's a couple of 8-3 finishes from the Fish, but
Yes.
it really shows that you kind of needed to go a different direction. Pelly Arch still good, but having a different mode to lean on, a different axes, whatever, with Annihilate and Mousehold. I think that's really what carried Fevzi farther.
I don't know. I think the actual mode that you're supposed to rely on is Espeon Gallade in DD. I think that's the mode that really breaks Basket Legion.
Dude, I'm honestly like 80% sure I played that person in the GC. Like I don't know. I feel like I've seen this before.
That's crazy.
I feel like I did. I don't know. That's super
But yeah,
cool.
like zero Basque Legion made cut, I think. At least in Rain. Like because they are all 8-3. No one did 9-2.
Yeah, yep.
So that's yeah, a little bit crazy, honestly. I played Julian in my win and in into the top cut.
To be fair,
And
in Baltimore, Basket Legion's big tournament, it won the whole thing, and then that's like there's a big drop off. Next one is top 32 for Basket Legion.
yes.
So
Eric top 32, I think.
yeah, and like then that's like on a Rain team. Otherwise, then there's like Chef, which is not really Rain. Not really Rain. It just isn't actually. There's no doubt about it. Anyway,
It's not really Rain.
It's not Rain.
In fact, I might even call
But
it
yeah.
a Sun team, not a Rain.
It's up for debate. All right, it's got a Basket Legion, so it's a Rain team. Anyways,
Yeah.
so yeah, I like Rain. I think needs to be doing things a little bit differently, and I think that even though we saw Fevzi's team in Baltimore, I think that they correctly identified that this was going to set it apart from the Rain teams that were falling short. Besides, the fact that that it did win Baltimore.
I think that the Rain teams might have to rely on like I think a big part of why Nick won Baltimore was because of the mouseholds and the technician mousehold kind of disrupting people's Rain lines. And people adapt to that. And you have some flex slots. You have some flexibility on those teams. I think you are still relying on the really strong core of Arcaludon Pelipper that Arcaludon Pelipper is so oppressive. It's so hard to break that. Basque Legion is also a really good Pokemon. You've got 3 extra slots to play with. And you're gonna have to find a creative way to beat the counterplay that people are throwing at you. This is obviously a very different team, the FFZ team, but yeah, I think that more traditional ranked teams are going to have to find another route to take because yeah, I think that once you get to this level of tournament, once you get to day 2, like we see a lot of them in day 2. Once you get to day 2, everyone knows their line into the 6 Pokemon that Nicholas won Baltimore with. I don't think you're gonna get very far with just that, but it is still like in terms of just the Pokemon quality. You are using 6 of the strongest Pokemon of the format. You are going to have room to beat a lot of players, outplay a lot of players. It's just a question of when you get to day 2, when everyone has these refined teams, everyone knows their matchup. You need something that gives you a little bit more of an edge, I think. And speaking
I
of
agree with that.
Speaking of Fevzi's team, if only there was a place where you could learn exactly how to use Fevzi's team. Surely, we had a team report with Ethan who, and so Fevzi I think shouted at Ethan out as well. So this is, I think he made some changes. The Annihilate is no longer base spell tag, instead is cringe leftovers. But other than that, it's pretty similar. And yeah, this team is really strong. I think this team, people maybe disrespected it a little bit. It didn't have people look at top 16 final standing and they don't think it like necessarily did that well. But like when you think about going X1 in Swiss, right, and then losing in top 16, really going with 12-2 or something like that, that's a pretty good result, right? Like that team did really well. And then of course Bevzy went I think X1 in Swiss again, and lost in top 8. I saw Face as well go 8-3 with it. So this is a team that I would definitely expect to see a little more of at Louisville, or maybe potentially, even if you're looking for a team for Louisville, this is one of the teams that I think seems really well positioned right now.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
Next, though, was Jack's team. We gotta talk about Jack's team.
All right, let's talk about Jack's team.
It's so crazy.
It's funny because we just came off of it didn't do as well as Jack, but there was that Volbeat team in Baltimore that was all special attackers, and it went up against Dawe and got completely stopped by Struggle Bug plus Light Screen, and it was just miserable to watch. It was oh man, this all special attackers team has no way to get through this. This team actually, I think, suffered a similar fate when I finally got to see it on stream. It is largely all special attackers. Como kind of cheats. It's a physical attacker, but not exactly a physical attacker. Immune to intimidate in a way. But I remember watching it. What was it that Jack actually lost to? I gotta go find it. The stream game. It was just something. I think it was the same thing. Lost to. No, let's see.
I didn't get to watch it. I can pull it up.
The schedule should be right there.
Lost to Maddie.
Maddie.
Oh, what was it? Maybe it was a Swiss game or something. But it was it went up against
played Pepsi.
Snarl Arch or something.
They played Pepsi on Snarl Arch.
Maybe said Pepsi, yeah.
Yeah. It was against Pepsi, and it was just Light Screen plus Snarl Arch was just unbreakable, and it was these all in on special attacker teams, they keep getting got by this. It was so sad to watch. Screens plus Duraludon. Thank you. Well, not Duraludon. Archer. Close. But yes.
Okay, but when they win, they win pretty hard.
It's true.
It's got big offense, and if you don't have the tools for it, it's gonna probably win its damage race.
Wait, Drifloon is a physical attacker? I actually haven't looked at the Drifloon set enough. I forgot that it's not a special attacker. My bad.
Yeah, it's acrobatic.
I mean, it's just a support guy, so it doesn't deal that much damage. It's got good base power on its attack, but
I should be
it's not the strongest.
More, it's kind of the star of the show. There is also Toxtricity. That's probably the most original Pokemon on the team, and I do think it's really funny that after this tournament, it also happened with one of the teams from Baltimore, but after this tournament, everybody was linking this team to Adi. Everyone was just sending it to Adi. They're like, Adi, this is what you want to play, right?
Yep. Well, I'm trying to find my my team that I posted from way back. Everyone thinks about it because I used it in 2020 to qualify for Players Cup 2, and I won a World Cup or a EU set against Pato with it. But yeah, I also ran Indeedee Drifblim Toxtricity to a male Indeedee Drifblim Toxtricity at that tournament, and did quite well with it. So yeah, it's cool to see that core pop off again. We didn't have Terra obviously at the time. But I think there was a Victory Road team that also had Indeedee Drifblim, and I was saying that was not quite the way that I wanted to play Indeedee Drifblim. This lines up with the way that I look at playing Indeedee Drifblim, where you are just so punished for taking a knockout onto anything, right? You can go ahead and knock out the Drifblim, but if they click Tailwind and they get their Toxtricity in for free, or they get their Volcarona in for free, and they clicked Expanding Force once, that's just fine. That's totally cool. You have and then similarly, if you KO the Indeedee, first off, takes 2 hits. You've still got the Drifblim on the field. If you don't KO the Drifblim, it's got Strength Sap. It'll go back up to full. And then you put the Toxtricity next to it, and it's just clicking these big old boom bursts, or these electric overdrives, and it's hitting things really hard. And electric flying is a pretty cool pin. There's not a ton of things that really want to take overdrive plus acrobatics. And so yeah, it's just it does do these three. This core is quite strong. And then I think the Life Orb Volcarona was also something that people basically were using just the Quiverdance set. But I think at this tournament, we saw a lot of the Volcarona that did well were not on the, well, I should check that before I say that. But I think a lot of the Volks that did well were not on the, okay, none of the Volks did well, excuse me.
I don't know if Volks did well.
So we saw the Covert Cloak set that did well at Baltimore that got top 4 there with the Grimmsnarl team. But we also saw, this set, Life Orb set. I want to talk about this because remember that mono bug team that everyone was talking about that won some Limitless tournament? Because that was also like no Quiver Dance Volk. It was, I think, Specs Volk. I think it's the same idea. I think that giving Volk the damage boost and saying, I'm going to click these big fire moves, these big bug moves, this one's Terra Blast and not Giga Drain, which is interesting, but it's just a heavy hitter. It's just got a lot of stats. It hits really hard. It's got a great speeds here. You don't need to set it up necessarily, and especially on a team that has this pacing, you don't get to set it up. And so, I think this is also a really cool way to do it. Could be Typhlosion, but you've already got the Ghost type, you've already got the NDD, so you probably don't want to run Typhlosion. And so Volk makes a lot of sense here as well. And then I think like the team makes a lot of sense the way it's put together. It takes advantage of this great speed control that Drifblim provides you. And the fact that like it's just a pain in the butt to remove in a way that the other speed control mons aren't. I think it's a really cool team, and kudos to Jack for doing well with it.
It is a very cool team. I was so surprised of like the whole thing, but like the toxicity is I think it's like the main thing that is like what. But if you really think about it, we don't really have any good electric coverage this meta, so we are just not respecting electric typing offensively. I think that might be one of the things that put Jack in a very, very good spot, and this team overall.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple electric attackers like Palma that's been running around, but it was not very prevalent at this tournament. None of them made day. Sorry, one of them made day 2, and had a poor showing in day 2. So, good meta call, honestly, on the toxicity.
Found it.
Like, Garchomp's annoying, and then nothing else really. And Garchomp doesn't like staring down a Drifblim. It's just going to be really awkward for it.
Oh man, this is one of my favorite teams of all time. I love this team. I'm so glad that's something. I'm not going to use this at Louisville, but I do want to play around with this at some point when I get the chance.
He's just saying that as a distraction because
Mhm.
I remember Michael Dermesti doing the same thing. It was so funny when we raided him that one day. He was streaming a Limitless tournament with his Dortmund team, and then like as soon as we raided him, he's like, "By the way, guys, this is not my Dortmund team." And it just was his Dortmund team. It was the most convincing argument. How can I fight it? If Adi says he's not running this at Louisville, you have no choice but to just believe him. But he's running it at Louisville, 100%. I'm leaking it here now.
So the one last thing I want to talk about, this is specifically to spite Raja, because he is the biggest Hydreigon hater. Hydreigon had a breakout tournament this weekend. It had 2 slots. It had, of course, 1, and it also got top 8. And so after kind of being overlooked as a dragon type, it did there are not a ton of people using it in top 56. It really popped off this tournament. So I think it's good Pokemon, especially we saw it next to Garchomp, because it is immune to ground, but also just as sort of a general answer to things. It has like Draco Meteor is still really good. Snarl is really better than ever against these crazy all special attacker teams. It gets to go Terrify or Heat Wave, which is a lot of value. We see how strong some of this fire coverage is. So I think that Hydreigon might see a little more play coming up now that we did so well at the Dortmund regionals.
Yeah, I like them.
Which is funny because my takeaway from Baltimore, where I was playing Hydreigon Garchomp, was the Hydreigon was not terribly good. So I guess it was just better into the EU meta than the Baltimore meta.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are different metas.
Yeah,
there are
I think it probably was, honestly. Like, oh my god.
But good on Hydreigon. Love to see.
Are there any other teams though that had a good finish at Dortmund that we have yet to talk about? Ones that stand out. I think we could take a quick stop at the top 16 Cohen Van Can one. I don't know which one you were gonna pick, Adi, though.
I was gonna say we have seen this stupid Sneasler Dragapult team before. I do want to point out that Magmar was not really a thing until this tournament, and it was everywhere. I'm not sure where that came from. Again, I saw MDB talking about how he wasn't going to use it at the tournament and then used it at the tournament. He, of course, did really well, got top 16. But yeah, there was a whole lot of Magmar at this tournament, and I think we'd be remiss not to mention that.
Yeah,
Fair,
so I
fair.
think it's really really tough to deal with the Electabuzz being weak to Goldengo. Goldengo is already one of the better responses to Sneasler Pult, and so if you have the Electabuzz also struggling, and if you have a Rillaboom that also struggles into it, you can really back yourself into a corner against Emon and Magmar being able to overheat it, and if you force it to Terra, then it and usually it's a Dragon type, sometimes it's Steel type, regardless, it'll lose to Sneasler Dragapult in some manner. So it's just shoring up that aspect, I think. That's the best explanation I've come up with for why Magmar fits on the comp better than Electabuzz.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that Magmar is really good in the mirror match. I was watching MDB play his tournament run afterwards, try to get an idea of how to use the team. And yeah, it's a mirror breaker. It's good into Goldie, like you said. It just overheats it. Has Will-O-Wisp. I think not everyone ran Will-O-Wisp. MDB ran Will-O-Wisp to Wisp the Kingambit, Wisp the Dragapult. So obviously Wisp the Sneaslers as well. So very cool in that respect. Has a lot of different applications. Although I don't think Wisp is all that common. I thought someone ran Helping Hand on it. I could have swore someone ran Helping Hand on it. What we see?
It was on about half of them ran Will-O-Wisp.
Okay. But yeah, we see Taunt. We see a few. Yeah, I guess Taunt or Wisp is the coverage move of choice.
I also wanted to add that like with this one with Magmar, you also have like the Fire Water Grass core that is not very used in this format, but you have like a very good type chart with Fire Water Grass and Fantasy core in the Dragapult teams, because Primarina is Water and Fairy, so it's pretty easy to do this core. And I feel like you really needed a fire there. I feel like these kind of teams were kind of disrespecting the grass types and maybe even Goldengo. Like I know they have King Gambit and everything, but I think the team is just better. This.
Yeah, I don't think the grass types are the problem. Like Sneasler Dragapult is just really tough for a Rillaboom to respond to.
Yeah.
But yeah, the steel types are a huge issue. Probably helps the team hold up against like Lilycole, I guess, or those types of pins where you really want to probably just for like Typhlosion stuff. Having the eruption resist can be really cool.
Electabuzz is a lot better in terrain. Notably, that's one thing that it is very good at, redirecting electro shots. But yeah, rain was not super common at this tournament, and so we see a lot of Magmar do well. We also saw a few Electabuzz do well as well. But yeah, actually, we saw a lot more Electabuzz and a lot fewer of them do as well, and especially one of them, like the team you want to talk about, was Kane. I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to say the name, but yeah, Cone Can.
Apologies for mispronouncing your name, but yeah, we see some of the Electabuzz that did well. One of the Electabuzz that did well was not actually on the traditional comp, and instead had a very different take on Electabuzz King Gambit's Rillaboom stuff, I guess. So yes, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So I thought it was just neat, like the half that they didn't, run. I mean, they're not even running the standard sets on those guys. Anyways, the standard sets on King Gambit and Rillaboom, they've got Miracle Seed and the King Gambit's Assault Vested here, so it's already built pretty differently. But then I think Scarf Bass is a really solid Pokemon that can probably see a bit more usage. That just like I think Choice Scarf is pretty underused right now. It's like a pretty solid item on a decent number of Pokemon. Definitely pays off in best of one, but in I think it can still do well in Open Team Sheet best of three. The adaptability set just does massive damage. You lose a single Pokemon, and Last Respects is like, even with Choice Scarf, it's doing like well over half to most Pokemon, sometimes OHKOing. It's just super able to clean up. And then yeah, we see like the kind of the same Ninetales that Paul was running, and then Throat Spray Como. I feel like maybe Como could be the mirror breaker that helps beat down these like King Gambit, Sneasler, Dragapult cores. Like it does really well into those Pokemon. You just have to get through the Primarina. Whether or not this team has enough for Primarina is kind of up to you to decide. It's got Ninetales with Freeze Dry. That's not the best one though. This Woodhammer from Brillo.
It's got what it does is it's got soundproof como to wall the hyper voice.
Yes.
And like Terrifier to resist Moonblast. And then you can taunt the haze with your Electabuzz and
that's fair.
just kill the other slot.
Yeah, I was going to say that like it does just get hazed on, but taunting that is a very real route. So I like that you pointed that out.
Now, you said this team was creative, but all I see is I see that they took the same old team and they took the fast ghost type and they put a different fast ghost type on the team and they put a different fighting type on the team and they put a different fairy type on the team. And they even made one of them a water type. It's all the same stuff. It's all the same.
It's all Rinyasan all the way down.
It's always.
Nah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it is funny how they took the same like King Gambit Electabuzz core that we did do so well, and they found a lot of different solutions to the or similar solution. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to exactly how I'm trying to phrase this, but it does feel like they realized that they needed the same coverage, but found different ways to find that coverage.
Somebody was asking about the Ensign usage, by the way, and so I went to look at it, and it's kind of funny because Ensign's usage is basically the same between day 1 and day 2. If you go to the Victory Road page, Audie, it has the like top 12 Pokemon image. I can link it here in text or voice.
That would be dope.
But yeah, if you look at the top 12s, it's super amusing because Ensign, again, basically same usage from day 1 to day 2, but look at where it drops. So it goes from 1st to 5th. I think that's super amusing to me. There's some Pokemon that like were around its usage anyways. Like Prim goes from 29 to 33, so it's not like a massive leap to pass Ensign in this case, but it's still pretty funny visually. And I mean, the numbers don't lie. Like Sneasler, 37%. Like that is like a pretty substantial jump from the 27 it was on day 1.
Mm-hmm. King Gambit had a really big jump. It turns out that exactly that one team did really, really well. But beyond that, I mean, we see a huge drop off for Pelipper. That's a big one. Even though Archaludon usage didn't really drop into day 2, Pelipper usage did. And we see the Amoonguss usage also dropping quite a bit in day 2 as well, dropping 8 points. And so that's another one that I think is it's a pretty big drop off. And then we also see another gainer. This one's pretty small, but we do see Garchomp also benefit a little bit going into day 2 as well.
Yeah, about Garchomp, it's funny because it's always on the top spots, but then you see the usage and it's the 11th more usage in the format.
Yeah, it's doing so well. It's probably going to go up at this point, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. But I think it's not that easy to do a team that fits Garchomp well. Like he needs good like ground immunity next to him normally, and you don't really see ground immunity in the top mons in day 2, for example.
Yeah, I just think people aren't using Earthworm enough yet. Yeah,
true.
That's true.
Maybe, but yeah. It's a little bit more difficult to slap than, for example, Dragapult or Sneasler or another offensive mons, I feel like.
Yeah, the best performing Chomper team we've seen has had Dragonite as the main ground immunity. Otherwise, there's been Vivian. There's been a bit of Hydreigon.
Yeah, did I miss the team that won the regional? Like that?
Oh, we forgot to talk about that.
And also in Europe, we saw some Kilowattrel.
Oh yeah,
I did see those.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Ivar, one of the coolest team builders. This time, kind of riffing off Wolf, I guess, a little bit, but yeah, using Kilowattrel had a fun stream game as well.
Dude, how did they finish back to back? By the way, the two Kilowattrel teams are just next to each other.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, right above it, this is I think one of the last things that I wanted to touch on before we wrap up talking about Dortmund is like we haven't talked about Dozo. Somebody pointed out solo Dozo. had a fine finish. No, not Juan. Joan did very solid. Got top 16 with solo Dozo. But if you look up for Dozo Tatsugiri,
Not a single one.
there is like one fine finish. It went 8-3, and then otherwise all the way down to 6-5 and lower from that point on, 5-3. Like it's tough for Dozo Tots here. And honestly, there's two things I have to say about this. One, I'm definitely rubbing my hands, loving life, living my best life, enjoying and praying on this stupid fish's downfall. But also, this is the time that the fish strikes. So I'm just warning everybody listening right now to don't give in, because this is when the Dozo players look and say, "Oh, they sleeping on us. They're sleeping on us." Like
Hold the line. Hold the line.
It's time to come back, and they will. They're lurking in the water. They're ready.
They are.
So just know that Louisville is going to be Dondozo's best tournament by far. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. You should definitely, yeah.
Yep.
Now, I was talking to Carson about, like, Carson was looking for a team for Louisville. I was like, hey, why not Dozo? Yeah, it turns out that in a format where everyone is running, where the tweet go? Everyone is running this team, right? And they have double fake out plus haze. It's really hard to maneuver your Jindozo. So I think people are going to have to figure out a new way to build Jindozo to find a way to navigate through this team specifically, because the other teams in the format can struggle with Dozo a little bit. This team does seem like it kind of stomps it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tom has to be pulling some shenanigans to get your Tatsugiri through that bracket. It's true.
You're literally not running Terra Steel Heavy Slam with Covert Cloak. Like that just wins every time.
That's true.
And
you have the Oblivious, so you keep your boosts. Yeah.
What
they don't run Intimidate.
What I will say about Dozo is that they like Dozo players in today's day and age have to be comfortable using a 4-mon team into a decent chunk of into at least some of the matchups. They kind of have to know when they're going to do that. And so if you're building a 4-mon team, you have to find a 4-mon team that beats this, right? That's like a big part of what your task is as a Dozo player. From what I can tell, I'm not a Dozo player. I couldn't actually tell you if that's true or not, but like that's my interpretation of how I would go about trying to use Dozo at Louisville. If for some reason I was trying to use Dozo at Louisville.
Somebody in the chat said there's no real reason to drop Haze on Primarina. And I don't know. I think Prim has some pretty good moves. Like if you got to run Calm Mind, that would probably be pretty sick. And I think like Haze is just very solid in the format in general. I think one of the coolest uses we've seen a couple of times is like Electabuzz going for Electro Web in the face of a King Gambit, and then immediately seeing a Haze from the Primarina afterwards, or just like letting that King Gambit get up a couple of sword stances and bringing in your Primarina and clicking Haze. Both of those are fine routes. So I think that like Haze is probably a staple that's not going to go anywhere, but I feel like we've seen Dozo teams do well through Haze plenty of times in the past. So,
you can beat Haze.
Yeah, it just depends on the
double fake out plus Haze is a lot harder because double fake out already is pretty good to Dozo.
And also like the defensive typing in Primarina is just like much better than other Haze users against Dozo.
Yeah,
in particular, because he can order up, Wave Crash is resisted. Yeah,
and you've got Rillaboom for the Earthquake in a lot of the cases.
Yeah.
Now, one interesting thing that we saw, you mentioned this earlier, was that Joan got like pretty badly hacked out in top 16. That was one of the few sets that I managed to actually get to watch. But Joan had the Jindozo over the Primarina slot on this team, which is interesting. We saw this, I think, was it Sitchit who won a Victory Road Tour with this sort of Jindozo set. But yeah, this is like, I don't know. Jindozo, maybe it does some of the same things as Primarina. It certainly slots in as a water type. And it's sort of a Jindozo answer with Unaware Fissure. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's another really interesting change that, if people start to disrespect Jindozo a little bit more, maybe Primarina isn't the right Pokemon to put in that slot. Maybe it is supposed to be something else. In which case, we're going to see the cycle keep churning, and maybe Dozo comes back into the format.
I'm just saying they're sleeping on the fish, and I would never.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna make sure that my team has 6 Dozo counters before I lose to it.
But like with Dozo, unaware, and Jaun, and double fake out, you're not really sleeping on the fish, right?
That's true. That's true. You're right.
I mean, so I was looking at who the Dozo player who did do well played, and they did lose to the Primarina version in round 10, and then beat the Dindozo version in round 11. And so yeah.
Okay.
So that's
actually pretty,
makes sense. Makes sense because of the Glimora.
That can help.
Yeah, Glimora could give troubles to a team, and also like poison the Dozo is a big deal. If he can't land a fissure fast enough. So it makes sense kind of, but I think the matchup is mostly even, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hit your fissures, right? That's what it kind of comes down to. You can miss all 8. It can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, or if you miss the first 4, and sometimes the Dozo just gets enough leverage into the rest of your Pokemon that it doesn't matter. So, yeah. Are there any other teams that we want to talk about from this regional? Did Europe cook any at all other than exactly Jack?
Europe doesn't know how to cook.
Okay, I'm
Europe
looking
only
at.
knows good Pokemon.
I'd only seen oh my god, what is this team? I did not see this team at Top Cut. Okay, we got I was looking at it because Vivillon was not paired with the Garchomp that we normally see it paired with, or Ursaluna like we saw it paired with in the on ladder. But I did not realize they were running Bullet Seed, Loaded Dice, Rillaboom with their Archaludon to proc it. That's pretty crazy.
Yes.
No, I called this team the sampler. They've got the Sneeze pulled, they've got the Arch with no rain, they've got the Viv with no chomp. They just have they've got the loaded dice, but it's on the Rillaboom. Just this is all the roll compression, and they've got 4 different teams in their 6 months.
Where's Grassy Glide? It's supposed to run Grassy Glide.
Nope.
They don't have room for Grassy Glide. They gotta have the Arch Proc and the high horsepower because their team is trying to do a lot of things. I'm not gonna say too many things. It's trying to do a lot of things.
They did it really well.
It's
Like they
pretty
had
amusing.
fake out off their Sneasler too. They just don't have room.
They went 10-1 in Swiss, so they did really well. This seems wild.
And it's got Rock Slide on the Sneasler of all.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's the bulk matchup.
I didn't notice no Grassy Glide until now. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, the Bullet
See,
Seed
that's where
Archaludon is good.
That's how you cheat in open team sheets, by the way, is to just not run the most expected move on a Pokemon. And you would literally slip right past Victor. He wouldn't fight it until game 2. You know?
For sure, I would be like, why is he not clicking Grassy Glide? And I was like, oh.
You got outplayed. That's all there is to it.
Man. This guy is just insane. They had a free Grassy Glide kill 3 turns in a row. Why are they doing it?
Judge, my opponent revealed 4 different moves on the Rillaboom.
None are Glide.
And seeing the team, I was looking at and I was saying, oh, coaching is Sneasler for sure. But no, Rock Slide and no fake out or coaching. Okay.
No, we don't got room for those. Not where we're going. But yeah, let's go ahead and do Calc is right here then. I think. Do we have any good ones? I think I burned a good one earlier accidentally. What was it we were talking about? I don't know. Maybe we should be doing some Kilowattrel Calcs.
I was thinking, is there a Kilowattrel Calc I could do?
I'm stealing it. And I'm opening with it.
All right.
So they were running competitive on it, right?
They were running competitive.
Yes, they were.
Okay. I'm curious how much Instant takes from. Wait. Okay. Hold on. I guess I gotta go check now. I gotta fact check myself. Is it Discharge or is it Thunderbolt?
It had Discharge.
It depends. They one run Discharge and one run Thunderbolt.
Okay. Let's do Discharge because it's the funnier one. So they lead, their Kilowattrel Garchomp into your Incin, and they get the +2 from their competitive. They're clicking Discharge. What's Calc default Incin? Can you pull that up for me, Adi?
Yeah.
Let's see if that's what I want to run into.
This is max speed safety goggles here.
Let's not
all
let's
reliable
like a bulky
citrus
one.
berry. 236,
Yeah, sure.
124. Careful.
Okay.
So like relatively specially defensive. Sure. Honestly, let's do it. Kilowattral, how much are you doing to this ensign? We're just gonna say it's max timid on the Kilowattral at +2 discharge.
Mm-hmm.
I got a number. I've thought about this one
so
already.
Yeah. Once you're Victor, once you're ready, just say like I'm ready or something like that, and we'll call on
Okay,
you.
well, wait. Let me try to put the cam on again.
Got it.
Should
Also,
be
Nick, you
here.
are muted, so we won't know if you're ready or not.
Okay, I'm ready. Where do I put it though?
You don't put it. You just in your head. Just keep it in your head. And is Nick here? Audie, are you?
It looks frozen to me.
Okay. We'll give Nick a minute or two. Maybe he can come back and I'll just tag him a text or voice to let him know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start with you, Audie. What's your guess?
I think it's doing 60. Let's say 63%.
Okay, Victor, what do you got?
54.
54. Okay, so just barely to it KOing. Well,
Yeah.
not if it's citrus.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, they're not the calc default is citrus, but usually they're goggles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, we got
Nick,
Nils
you're back.
I'm back. Internet cut out for a second.
Got it. Did you hear the calc or no?
No, I did not.
Okay, the calc
what are we
is +2 discharge into calc default ensign, which is 236, 124 careful. Discharge from timid kilowattral. It got a competitive boost, so it's +2.
No other multipliers on the kilowattral, just 252 timid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can just
have
say
y'all
it when you're
given
ready
numbers?
because the other two have guessed.
Okay. Like that's a really specially bulky ensign.
It is. It is.
I'm going. It's gonna do like 53.
Okay. Victor picked 54. Audie, can you remind me what yours? 63?
I said 63.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So Audie's number is good for like a real ensign spread, but the calc default is fake, so you have to like chop a bunch off.
Yeah.
+2 and discharge.
Also, make sure that it's not auto applying competitive because it might. Oh, you don't have competitive.
I don't have competitive on.
I think it might auto apply it.
Is this right? Are you for real?
Oh my god.
This is, by the way, I have been watching a lot of Japanese ladder bots. There's one player that always uses kilowattral, and the discharges have not been impressive.
That's crazy low.
Because it's 80 base power and also has a spread multiplier. Wow.
Yeah.
What?
This one might be bad.
Yeah. Tough.
Okay.
Okay. Nails, I think you said you had a calc ready, right?
I do have a calc ready.
All right, you want to go?
What is it?
So you were talking to Corviknight, the Sneasler counter. So let's say we've got Dragapult, we've got some other mon that's doing something else in the other slot. Our Dragapult sees a Corviknight and has to get out, so we got to the Sneasler, but they brave birded the Dragapult, so they knocked our Sneasler to focus Ash. How much is the Stellar Close Combat doing back to the Corviknight? Calc defaults for both.
Sorry.
Okay.
Calc default Sneasler, Stellar, Terra, Close Combat, Jolly, I assume?
I think. Oh yeah, let's go Jelly because I think Stellar, or I think the Sneasler calc default is adamant.
Into, and what was the Corviknight spread?
Yeah.
Corviknight spread is.
What does the default Corviknight even mean?
It's 224. Let's go max HP 4.
Max HP 4.
Okay.
Stellar CC into that Corv?
Yes, but we also have Brave Bird recoil on the calc.
Oh.
What?
Like the Brave Bird knocked the Sneasler to sash, and Corviknight took.
Well, Nick, are we just talking about how much damage it's doing, or are we just playing like is it killing or not? You know, because that's a different game.
What percent is the Corviknight going to be left at?
I'm just gonna pick how much the attack does.
Yeah,
how about
yeah.
that?
Just pick how much of the close combat
Okay.
is easier.
Let's just
I
do
don't-
it how much we normally do. I get the scenario
Okay.
you're painting, but let's just pick the number that we're doing.
Boring. Go for it. Okay.
So
So let me know when
one
you're
thing that I keep getting confused though, which nature is the Sneasler?
The Sneasler is jolly because
Jolly.
adamant is fake.
And
I got you.
And the
Got
Corviknight
it.
is 252 for adamant, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
All right.
Okay.
252 HP, 4 defense.
I think I got it.
I got mine.
I got mine as well.
Okay, Alex, what you got?
I'm gonna go 70.
Okay, Adi, yours?
I'm going 69, and I swear I had that ahead of time.
All right.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I was going 68.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's hear if the price is right.
Well, that means that Audi guaranteed loses unless we all win.
All right. Into the Sneasler. We got Terra Stellar, Sash, Jolly, Terrastalize, Close Combat is doing 64 to 76. Did we all get it right on the money?
Yeah.
You guys were all smack in the middle.
Wow, we actually all nailed that one.
That's crazy. I mean, we know our Sneasler calcs.
I guess so. And our Corviknight calcs.
Anyways, the kicker, after it Brave Birds the Sneasler, it usually doesn't die. It barely holds on.
Let's go.
Okay.
There we go. That's
I guess Sneasler has a relatively low HP. It's not that low. No.
It's base 98 HP. It's not that bad, but
No, I was talking about Sneasler, like how much recoil it's dealing to it in HP damage, but Sneasler's got like a relatively average HP. It's not like especially high or low.
Yeah, it deals 52 damage in recoil, and that's about a quarter of Corviknight's HP. So if the Sneasler is adamant, then the Stellar CC can kill more consistently. But like if you get a fake out in there, then you're starting to get some kill rolls after Brave Birding to Sash. But if it's a Stellar fake out, then you're really in business.
Stellar fake out, true. I wonder if anybody's actually done that in tournament yet. Like, oh, I need the extra chip on my fake out with the Stellar Sneasler. Anyways, Adi or Victor, either of you guys have a calc ready to go?
I think I do.
Let's do it.
Go for it.
252 Adamant Toxicroak.
Let's go.
Okay.
Against Incineroar. With Intimidate, the calc set.
All right.
Okay.
I needed to look at this calc at my we did a friendly match against Italy versus Spain.
Yeah.
And I played Toxicroak, so I had to look at this calc before playing.
What was the attack? Close combat?
Yeah, close combat 252 Adamant.
All right. Into the calc default instant or
yes, that is especially defensive. It's 236 20 defense.
But we are intimidated at -1.
Yes. -1.
There's no boosting items or anything on the Toxicroak, right? It's just a normal 252 Toxicroak. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I got a number.
I got a number.
Okay. So for example,
call it whoever.
Yeah.
69.
Okay. Adi?
Man, I was going 70.
What? Okay.
Mine was gonna be 75. But I was thinking that like we were in the same ballpark as the last calc. I was very much thinking it. And so
I do think my number might be a little low, but I had to lean into the joke. So
Nah, you nailed it. 69 mineral is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
69.
Okay.
69 mineral.
Good enough.
Yeah. Up to 82.
Wait, Nick, you picked 69 exactly?
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, I said 69 exactly.
Dang. It didn't even if it was 69.1, you would have been out. But it's 69,
Yeah, no.
you're good.
Shout out to Calc
All
Default
right,
Intin
close.
for having exactly a 200 HP stat. Why not?
All
All
right.
It's just that easy.
Adi, go ahead and give us yours then.
Yeah, okay. So I had a very similar calc in mind. We'll do the Calc Default Intin. This time we're doing it into Actually, this is really bad now because you just saw how much a different fighting type did to Incineroar, so I'm gonna change it up. I was gonna do the Poliwrath Calc, but we're still gonna do a Poliwrath Calc, but this time different matchup. You know, you bring it into the raid matchup, you face an Arcaludon. Let's say they got a beat up off into their Arcaludon, so they're at +4 defense. Calc default Arcaludon.
No.
You got a choice band Poliwrath. How much do you do with close combat?
So they are at +4.
They're at +4 defense, Poliwrath. And you have a choice band 252 adamant Poliwrath. Click and close combat into it. How much are you doing?
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
I'm ready, but I don't know if I'm way off.
This is Poliwrath. It's the newer Shifu.
Yeah, but like with a lot of multipliers, like +4 defense, I'm not sure.
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Got it? All right.
Yeah.
Victor, what you got?
30?
30? All right. Alex,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go dead in the middle 50.
50. Okay.
What?
A
It's
Poliwrath
+4.
believer. Nick, what do you think?
I also had 50. I thought it was going to be a roll to kill if it wasn't choice band, and it was at +0, and so after the
Wait.
multipliers, that leaves me at 50.
Nick, Price is right. Me, you got to pick one or the other because I got in there first.
49, I don't have faith in Poliwrath.
Let me tell you, you are all wrong. It is doing 37 to 45%.
Dude.
Yeah, no, it's I was gonna do the instant calc, where you close combat the Poliwrath, you KO it, if they don't have any boosts, and then you close combat the instant. You think you KO the instant, but then we just did the Toxicroak calc, and so I figured you'd be able to figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too many frogs beating up on the ensign.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
no, I mean honestly, like I was a little surprised. It does pick up the knockout. Actually, that shouldn't be too surprising. I think it's a +1. It does not, which is a little sad. But it's a roll to KO Incineroar, which is really sad. It's a roll to KO.
We really did do 3 close combat calcs though. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that is going to wrap it up from us. Thank you all for watching Tub Takes this week. As per usual, if you missed out on any of the stream, you can catch it on YouTube tomorrow! !YT in chat. And yeah, Victor, thank you for coming on the channel. Really appreciate it, and congratulations on top cutting Dortmund.
Thank you to inviting me, and thank you for the second congratulations.
Yeah. So we're gonna send you over to Himmy Turner, who is hosting a tournament right now. Sounds like. So go say hi to him. Tell him where you came from, and have a good night, y'all.
Peace out, peeps.